Hello. Tea. A camelizer. For some reason that just jumped into my head and I thought, yes, tell them about the camelizer because the rest of the video might not be very useful. The camelizer is something that you download and you have on your browser, and it investigates Amazon prices. And so you look at something that you think, oh, I wouldn't mind one of those, and you hit the camelizer and it gives you a readout of the price of that article on Amazon and third parties over the last however long, 2 years or so. You know, the goings ups and downs, and you can see where it is in the cycle, whether it's liable to come down in sale price or not. And obviously, and you can put a reminder in, or whatever the alert, that you say, well, I won't have that until it comes down 20-25% in price. You put it in and it sends you an email when it comes down that much. And you can normally judge by the camelizer whether it's likely to or not. Okay. So I don't know whether this is a number, as in whether this is going to be number 8. I doubt it, starting off like that. And starting off in the Guardian comments about mortgages. But let's crack in and see how we go. Back in 1985, mine, that's mortgage, was just 6 times our joint salary. It's not the price of the property but the cost of the mortgage that is more relevant figure though. In our case it was 68% of our joint monthly income, 68% of the income going to mortgage, joint monthly as well. Heavy. Anyway, we didn't have a car or meals out. I had an hour's walk to and from work. There's just no way I could have afforded the bus. My 29-year-old son has a similar outlook to me, saved hard for a deposit, now owns a house which was approximately 8 times his income. My 27-year-old daughter, an English teacher, complains about not being able to afford a property but isn't willing to compromise her lifestyle to make it happen. She drives the short distance to work, stopping to buy takeaway breakfast on the way, pays £45 a month for her phone contract, and takes an Uber to and from evenings out and holidays abroad at the end of every school term. The joke is she blames the baby boomers for not being able to afford a house. I thought that whole comment was a bit contrived, but let's just say it was true. Next comment under that is, I never made much salary but managed to save 10 to 15% of my salary per year, and often more if I had a year with some overtime pay. I watched my peers pay for new cars, fancy skis and bicycles, nice holidays and redos of adequate kitchens and bathrooms, usually all on borrowed money. I invested instead. I retired at 55. At 65, many of them continue to work because they have to, and they still can't figure out why or how to retire, or why they still have to work and they can't retire. Okay. Now, I'm just scrolling down to this other one. And I'm not just saying, ooh, look, retire, save. Well, I am probably, but I hopefully not will be. Further down, my pension is far less than $25,000 a year, less than the $20,800 which is alleged to be the average nationally. I know many people who survive on state pensions. Either there are some very wealthy pensioners out there, or London-centric journalists have extravagant aspirations. I do not feel deprived or poor with his under $20,000 a year pension. A 50s working class childhood lays a good foundation for a low income retirement. And I think that's where I'm kind of going, isn't it? That fits in with the other things. A 50s working class childhood lays a good foundation for low income retirement. In other words, he has been programmed to know how to do it. Okay, there's another one here. Absolutely agreeing with the last commenter. Use the bus pass whenever possible. home cooking using ingredients from Aldi and Lidl, especially their wine deals at $2.99. Use gas rather than expensive electricity and seek out cheap suppliers. Upgrade home insulation, get water meter installed, and generally if it ain't broke, don't fix it. In other words, why buy a new something when the old something still works? Now, you can say, well, I want more than this. Life shouldn't be reduced to niggardly grasping of having to do home insulation and using gas rather than expensive electricity, etc., and using Aldi and Lidl to do the shopping and having to make your own meals. You think it shouldn't be like that. But that's only a mental thing. Do you get what I mean? It's a mental thing. Right. I'm not saying it should be like that, but thinking it shouldn't be like that is just an idea. Right. Where was... Oh, crumbs, yes. Okay. Now, I couldn't get anything from comments from this article on Osho, Bhagavan Sri Rajneesh, because they were all what everyone's comments will always be. I think it's something to do with Netflix have made a 5-part documentary on him or something, and it's not turned out that he looks very well out of it. Okay, so I'll just read the last paragraph of the article. The Osho movement today, 20 years after its founder's death, is more tempered version than in Oregon. He did his stuff in India and then moved to America, and it was all tricky. And focuses on selling books and meditation retreats, yet it is unwilling to accept the findings of the documentary. The Osho Times, must be the name of the documentary, the Osho Times, its official organ, oh no, that's the Osho people have the Osho Times, says the documentary fails to show this was a US government conspiracy from the White House on down, aimed at thwarting Osho's vision of a community based on conscious living. Even in death, Rajneesh continues to manipulate his followers. No, that's full stop. Osho Times didn't say that last sentence. That's end of what they said, and then the article finishes with, even in death, Rajneesh continues to manipulate his followers. Programming. Right. Just to say, I'm got this up because yesterday I got out for an hour. It was a bad weather day, but I got out for an hour and did some work. But I was a bit bored with the audiobook I was reading. So I always have Osho, Bhagavan Sri Rajneesh, on my MP3 player. Always. Because it's a long series of his talks, and I only occasionally feel in the mood to listen. Yesterday was one of those times, and it was interesting that this article came up today. What do I want to say? And it's linked with yesterday. Did you watch the link that I put under yesterday's video of Ruby Wax talking about mindfulness? Did you? You might not have seen it because I don't normally put links, so I'll put it down here as well, and the second one down here, because I went to look for more mindfulness videos, but they're just about all on TED Talks from what I can see, and TED Talks give me the shits. So I won't go near them. So I can't dig out these mindlessness talks for you. So I've looked at other ones that aren't TED Talks, and I found one which I'll also link down below, which actually comes across just like a TED Talk, although it's not a TED Talk, but it does a job. There are plenty of others, and you can go to them just to get an idea of what we're talking about. But obviously, I did actually think, seeing we're here, you won't listen to what I say because I'm only me. I've got a certain amount of credibility with you because a lot of people will have been listening to what I say for let's even say 10 years, because that's how long I've been making YouTube videos. But even then, you won't listen to me. And it's not because I haven't got credibility with you. It's because I haven't got credibility with other people. As in, Ruby Wax is a star comedian, or I don't know how many stars, but I heard of her a long time ago, so she must be something. You, although you're a YouTube type watcher, not a television type watcher, still would be more likely to be influenced by Ruby Wax than me, although you know me really quite intimately. It's because I'm nobody and she's somebody. It's a human thing. We're all sheeple. Because she's famous, it's very, very easy to go along with what she says, agree with her, or disagree with her. But if you wanted to agree with her, like you might want to agree with me, it's hard to agree with me because the brain goes, well, why isn't there loads of people agreeing with him? Why does he only get about 50 views or 100 views a video? He must be wrong. In other words, too fringe, too minority, just can't possibly be right. It's one of these heuristic things that the brain comes up with. Small amount of views must be shit. Large amount of views must be good. Now, the brain works in these two ways, the quick heuristic way or the calculating slow way. But most of the time it's firing on this heuristic very quick way. And the heuristic quick way says Mystics only gets 100 views, this gets 1 million views, this has got more credibility. And you just go with it. The heuristic evaluation takes a small fraction of a second. The calculation takes a second. But the brain will not invest the extra fractions of a second necessary to make the calculation. It'll go with the heuristic. And that's even with you, who are sensible enough to watch me. Rajneesh, genius. But absolute genius. You won't listen to his talks because you'll think they go on about salmonella and Rolls Royces and things like this. If you did listen to his talks, which you're not going to, because he's got very difficult speech to understand, and you need a lot of understanding in the comparative religions of the world, because especially the American speeches, the older Indian ones, even the older Indian ones, he's not just speaking to Hindus or Buddhists. He's speaking. He knows how to speak to all the religions, because he knows all the religions. So he can adapt his speech to include all the religions in there. The man was a genius. And you think, well, a genius at accumulating Rolls Royces, or conning people, or fucking his students, or whatever it might be. But that's labelling again, and it's really a crap thing to do. He just did what he did. He was born, probably always quite articulate. He obviously had a deep, deep desire to renounce and go the sannyasin path of... it's just a natural thing you do in India, that you renounce and you go around with a begging bowl. And then found that he could speak to people, and then he spoke to people. It's exactly what I'm doing here on YouTube, although he had hundreds of thousands and I have 100. It's not I'm trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to be a genius. I'm not trying to do anything particularly, like I very much doubt Osho was, except where are we now? 15 minutes ago, oh blimey. 15 minutes ago, or 15 to 20 minutes ago, I had an urge to make a video. Or I'd done some things that I could have made the video with. So you could say an hour ago, I knew I was going to do it. But all this stuff coming out, it's not because I'm a genius, an idiot, a fool, a con man, a label of anything. It is just what is happening here, and the happening there is that you're a fool, an idiot, a genius for watching. It's just what's happening. And labeling is so... I just felt it so much reading the comments on Osho. That it's just this. It's just the heuristic fraction of a second that anybody will want to dedicate to Osho. Con man. Done. Gone. Man's life and all his words gone. Con man. The extra fraction of a second not invested, far as I could see, by, there were people that did Osho stuff in the 70s and 80s. But that's what a person is. This is what I'm trying to say. So this might not be number 8, but this is what I'm trying to say. That this is what you are. This is what I am. A brain that just does these heuristic little... Because it's, doing the extra fraction of a second to do the actual calculation. It's just like this gives you this much. Can you see that in the video? That much. Where this much extra calculation can give you this much more. But I don't know what it is, but people just don't invest that extra fraction of a second in their lives. They live... And I was watching these mindfulness videos, so you don't have to. And a couple brought up the gazelle that senses the lion and then goes and off. And this is what this is about. This is why you do it. It's because you have to go quickly, so you're not the gazelle that gets chomped by the lion. But our lives just do not need these decisions. You can live your life putting that little extra in to every single thought all the time. And all that will happen is your judgment makings will be much more betterer. But you won't know to do that unless somebody tells you to do it. And that actually is not what mindfulness is. It might be, according to this lot. I'm just learning really what they think mindfulness is. Mostly, I think it's meditation. They think it's... Well, I'm not saying they think it is, and I think it's different. They can have it as what they like. It's their word, mindfulness. It's just meditation, really. But meditation and just looking at yourself, being the awareness, watching the thoughts come up, and watch the speed that they just come up with. Comment, gone. And then you're on to discursive crap about something. It's kind of, you do the comment, write off somebody's life, and then you go on about your own little story. And that's what the idea is, to do awareness, to see how your life is being frittered away like this. Am I going to get to anything else here? You're going to look back at your life. All right, I've often had this thing where you look back at your life on your deathbed and you think, should I have done more jigsaws? Should I have done more crosswords? Should I have watched more television? Should I have done more work at work? Should I have done more parenting when being a parent? And I've found that people can't do that. Look forward to your deathbed and then imagine how it'll be looking back. So I've given that up now. People don't seem capable of it. So look back to last year. What do you think? What do you wish you'd done more of? Most people think, I wish I'd been on holiday longer so I could get drunk in the morning and lie on the beach. All right. Jigsaws, crosswords, what's the other thing? Television. Do you think you'd look back and go, oh, I wish I watched more television? You just learn about awareness and how you're living your life gone. And I think as soon as you know what awareness is, you'll go, oh, I wish last year I was more aware of what I was actually doing. That's it. That's 20 minutes. That's quite enough for a Sunday sermon. So, Osho. I'm putting the label genius on only to countermand their conman label. But like all people, deep and confusing and contradictory and all sorts. But somebody who could really put a speech together so well that I think I'll probably keep listening. I've got to Osho talks for the rest of my life. And if you think I'm conned or negatively impacted or whatever, that's the way you look at it. But I look at it that he comes in from so many different angles, and you just get so many different dimensions of ways of looking at things that you feel an idiot and think, God, really? That's life can be thought of in a lot more different ways than just the narrow little blinkered way that most everybody lives it. Gotta go.